Well, I'm pretty sure there's some mixed feelings about the finale of WandaVision. Al Pacino fans must be just irate right now. But let's get to it. This is Blockbuster Underground. Spoiler review of the finale of WandaVision. Series finale is the name of the episode, so don't expect a season 2. Definitely not the way this ended up. To say that it was probably a shock to many viewers because there were so many speculations as to how this was going to end. And most of them were completely not even close. The Hex does not explode and create mutants worldwide. Al Pacino does not show up as Mephisto. Reed Richards does not appear in this show. Let's see. James Spader does not voice White Vision, although that would have been pretty cool. But there was a shit ton that did happen. So let's go over it real quick and recap the episode and talk about what's probably maybe coming up next. Because as we all love as Marvel fans is speculation galore, which keeps things interesting, keeps the conversation going, and that's what's fun about these movies and these shows. So anyway, episode basically starts right where the last one left off, where they're in the street and Agatha's got the kids. Wanda's all powered up and she's like standing there and she's like, yeah, my magic works out here, because remember the runes in Agatha's basement where she was like, yeah, only the one who casts the runes can use their magic. So Wanda's outside with her now. She's like, my magic works out here, and Agatha's like, that's what I'm hoping. And Wanda fucking blasts her with a bolt of magic and knocks her flying, and she's like, kids, get inside right now. So Tommy and Billy whip inside at like lightning speed. Next thing you know, as Wanda's chucking magic at Agatha, slowly her hands look like they're starting to rot away. And Agatha turns around and she's like, yeah, that's one of my powers, is I can absorb other people's powers who aren't worthy of having it. And she's like, you're going to give me your magic so that I can do something actually useful with it. God only knows what the fuck she'd do if she had this magic. But she's like, yeah, Wanda, you're going to give me all your magic, and then maybe I'll let you live in your little hex bubble with your perfect family. So they're going at it, and this was cool. Wanda obviously realizes every time she hits her with her magic, she's losing power. So she's standing there, and you can see her twirling her fingers, and all of a sudden, this fucking Buick comes flying out of nowhere and knocks Agatha into the side of the house. Wanda runs over, and all you see is the feet sticking out, just like the Wizard of Oz with the Wicked Witch. So, don't know where Agatha is. Meanwhile, White Vision, Spectral Vision, lands behind Wanda. And she turns around and sees him. She's like, Vision, is that really you? He walks up to her and puts his hand on her face, and he's like, Wanda. Still Bettany's voice. Definitely, you can tell there's something wrong with this guy, though. Puts his other hand on her other cheek, and then starts crushing her skull. Picks her up off the ground shit. And I'm like, oh my god. Hardcore. So, Hex Vision comes flying out of nowhere, knocks him flying. Meanwhile, Agatha shows up again, and basically taunting Wanda, and teleports off into the middle of the town. This is a clip in the trailer, too, where Wanda's like, it's our town, and Vision's like, let's fight for it then. So, Vision versus Vision. Wanda goes off to take care of Agatha. So, meanwhile, Monica is stuck in the house with Pietro, whatever we're going to call him. We find out, he's actually Ralph. Not Quicksilver, not Pietro, not an alternate universe. It's just some guy that Agatha put a hex on and basically she gave him Quicksilver's powers and some of the memories kind of shit or whatever. So, yeah, so he ends up being Ralph Boner. And there's like a fucking Beavis and Butthead almost joke where he's like, Boner. But, yeah, so he's nobody. Monica escapes from the house, knocks him out, which is weird too. He uses his Quicksilver powers in one part, but then the next time she tries to make a run for it, he doesn't. I don't know. But anyway, so Monica escapes. Vision versus Vision's a pretty cool fight because they're both phasing in and each out of each other. And White Vision, Spectral Vision is basically like my programming is to destroy Wanda Maximoff and kill the Vision. So he's basically like programmed like assassin droid right now. So you go back to Wanda and Agatha in the middle of town, and Agatha's unlocks everybody's minds, and they start freaking out on Wanda, saying, "Hey, when you let us sleep, we have your nightmares, and you're like drowning us in grief." And like the mom from the '70s show is like, either let us go or let us die. It's like, holy shit. And Wanda's like, I was trying to take care of you. I was making sure you guys were safe, and like starting to realize she's gone overboard. So Agatha's basically sitting there taunting her the whole time, saying, "Hey, give up your powers, give me your magic, and then I'll fix this. I'll fix the spell so that it works properly." Meanwhile, Vision is fighting Vision. Hang on, wait a second. Yeah, they're still fighting. Wanda opens up the hex to let the people out. And as she does, Billy and Tommy are coming running into town. Vision, while fighting other Vision, starts disintegrating because the hex is opening up again. So the kids start disintegrating. Vision starts disintegrating. Everybody makes a run for it. The sword guys get in at this point in all their Humvees. So they come barreling into the center of town. So it's Spectral Vision's over here. Wanda closes the hex too after she sees them disintegrating. So the showdown now is Agatha's there. You got Wanda with Vision, Tommy, and Billy. You got Sword with Hayward just rolled into town. And then you got Spectral Vision. So they split up basically. Agatha again is like hitting Wanda with energy, and every time Wanda makes a shield, Agatha's able to pull more magic off of Wanda. So she's basically leeching all of Wanda's powers off of her. And both of Wanda's hands now are like black, like looking like they're rotting to hell. So Spectral Vision, regular Vision start fighting. Billy and Tommy, meanwhile, Wanda says, "Okay, you guys take care of the military. Mommy will be right back." And goes to flies off to go take on Agatha. So Billy freezes all the Silver Sword guys, and Tommy runs and grabs all their pistols and their rifles and guns. And one guy's hat and sunglasses comes back. He's wearing the hat and the sunglasses on, and they give each other a high five. Hayward, meanwhile, steps out of his truck, pulls out his pistol, and unloads his clip of bullets on the kids. Fucking bastard, I know. Monica jumps in front of them. She shows up at the last second kind of thing, jumps in front of them, and absorbs the bullets. You see her like phase, like go all yellow, her eyes turn yellow, and the bullets kind of hit her, and you see them go through her. She almost turns into light, but the bullets slow right down and then just fall. And then one round goes right past her head before she can stop it towards Billy, and then you see Billy go up like this, go with the blue magic and stop the bullet dead in its tracks, and then just throw it to the ground. So Hayward jumps into the Humvee, tries to back up. I think he was going to try to run them over or something next, but Darcy comes rattling out of nowhere with the ice cream truck or whatever it was, the Fun Zone truck from the circus, and smashes into him and knocks him out cold. And she's like, "Yeah, have fun in prison, prick," which is exactly what happens to him. But we're jumping ahead there. Meanwhile, Vision v. Vision, Hex Vision basically works logic on him. Like they stop fighting, and he's like, says something like, "I'm not the real Vision," like because White Vision, Spectral Vision's like, "I've got to kill Vision," and Vision's like, "I'm not really Vision. I'm a conditional Vision." And then Spectral Vision's like, "Request elaboration on that." So they start discussing it, like theorizing what's going on. And it gets to the point where Vision, Hex Vision, is like, the memories are all still inside you. They've just been blocked and need to be unlocked. And he goes to touch him, and White Vision kind of backs away, and Vision's like, "May I?" And he sort of leans forward, and Vision touches Spectral Vision's forehead and unloads basically phase 1 through 3 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe into his fucking head. So as he does that, the eyes change and go almost looking like human, and then both of them are looking at each other, and they kind of turn their head like this, and then Spectral Vision's like, "I am Vision," and flies off and disappears. God only knows what happened. We do not see him again. I'm not sure when we will. When, if, where, who, how. We'll see. But yeah, so there technically is now a version of Vision still in the Marvel Universe. So Paul Bettany still has a job, which is good because I love him as Vision. He was great. Agatha and Wanda, meanwhile, are battling it out, and Wanda's just, oh yeah, Wanda tries this, flies up. This is really cool. She flies up to fight Agatha, and she's just sort of standing there, and she goes like that, and poof, gone. Teleports away. Agatha's on top of the building looking down. She sees Vision come out, and Billy and Tommy and Monica, and then Wanda comes up behind her like she did an Ultron, and just goes same as an Ultron, and zaps her and gets into her head, brings her back to Salem to the witch trial, and starts reanimating all the witches. But it backfires on her because all the witches are like, "You're the Scarlet Witch. We're gonna fucking crucify you," and tie her up to the stake. At which point, Wanda starts, like, you see the magic Scarlet Witch crown sort of manifesting around her forehead, and she knocks everybody flying and tackles Agatha. They fall out of the mind vision, whatever they were in, back into real life, fly up into the sky, and Wanda's just fucking throwing hex blasts at Agatha. Some of them are hitting her, some of them are missing by a mile. And every time she's hitting her, it's draining her. So she's starting to, her whole face is starting to rot away as she's hitting Agatha. And Agatha turns around and starts absorbing all of her magic until the point where Wanda's just basically floating there in midair. Looks almost dead. And Agatha's like, this place where your life was always broken, and it's always going to be that way because of you, and goes to blast her, and nothing happens. She tries again, nothing happens. And then Wanda slowly lifts her head, and you see her start to come back to looking normal again. And as she's floating, the camera pans around her, and you see there's a rune on the wall of the hex. And then there's one behind Agatha, and a couple other ones. And Wanda's like, "Thanks for the lesson. Only the witch who casts the runes can use her magic in here." And just unloads on Agatha, starts pulling all of the chaos magic back out of her that Agatha took. And as she does, starts morphing into the actual full Scarlet Witch costume. So they finally, it looks almost like Dark Phoenix. It would look better than Dark Phoenix, quite honestly. So they both land on Agatha thumps onto the ground. Wanda lands, walks over to her, and she's like, "You're gonna be," she's like, Agatha's like, "What are you gonna do? Imprison me somewhere?" She goes, "No, not somewhere, here." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" She goes, "You're gonna live in Westview." And Agatha's like, "Well, you don't realize what you've just unleashed, and you're gonna need my help with what's coming." And Wanda's like, "That's good, I'll know where you are," and taps her on the forehead and turns her into like nosy neighbor Agatha, or Agnes, and basically traps her in Westview indefinitely. So she goes over to Vision and the kids, and Vision's like, "We can fix this. You can fix this for everybody." And she's like, "Not for us." So they go home and they tuck the kids into bed, and they're like, "Oh, we're proud of you boys." And as she's walking out the door, she turns to them and she's like, "Thanks for letting me be your mom. Thanks for choosing me to be your mom." And closes the door, and she can see the hex. She's closing the hex at this point, and you can see it slowly coming towards the house. So she goes downstairs with Vision, and another beautiful scene. I rolled a tear. It was fucking nice. Where she's like, Vision's like, "We've said goodbye. this isn't the first time we said goodbye. And she's like, and he's like, that stands to reason. And she's like, that we'll say hello again. And he vanishes into oblivion, and she's standing in the empty lot, like from the beginning when first all started. And she pulls her hoodie up and she's walking out of town. And all the townspeople are looking at her furious because they're all no more mind control. But for what she's done to them, she's basically the evil bitch, witch, whichever, Scarlet Witch. So she sees Monica and she's like, Monica's like, they'll never understand what you had to let go of. And she's like, yeah, but to them, I'm just evil for what I did to them. And that's the way they'll see me. And that's nothing I can do about it. Because as we all know, she inadvertently created the hex out of her grief. So Monica's like, I understand. If I had your powers, I'd bring my mom back. And she's like, what are you going to do? She's like, and Wanda's like, I'm not sure what this power is that I've got, but I'm going to find out. And walks away, transforms into her Scarlet Witch costume, complete with hood and cape now. Look very cool. Takes off flying. And Monica's like, good luck. And Wanda turns around, takes one look at the town, and then flies off. Credits. If they'd stopped it there, people would have definitely rioted. Post-credit scene. Flashback to Jimmy Woo, downtown Westview, rounding up all the witnesses and stuff like that, getting all the information as to what happened from all the people in the town. And this one lady walks over and she's like, Captain Rambo, someone needs to see you in the theater. It's in the theater. So her and this lady walk into the theater, and the lady's like, a friend of your mother's sent me. And as she's walking in front of Monica, she turns into a Skrull. And she's like, yeah, this friend of your mother's needs to talk to you. And, I told him that you were grounded, and he doesn't care. And Monica's like, well, where does he want to talk to me? The Skrull just points up, meaning Fury on whatever that space station thing, that the end of Far From Home, that he was on at the end of Spider-Man. So that sets up the Skrull invasion, which is the show that's coming up with Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn, which means Monica Rambeau is probably going to make a cameo or more in that show moving forward as well then. So that's cool. The second tag scene, though, really has me scratching my head, though. Because tag scene 2, it pans down to like this cabin in the middle of nowhere in the mountains in front of this massive lake, beautiful scenery. And you see Wanda sitting on the front steps, and you hear a kettle going off, and she walks inside and pours herself some tea or whatever. And then it pans past her down the hallway and then turns around into the bedroom, and there's Scarlet Witch floating in the air with the Darkhold in front of her, with mandalas running in the background and all sorts of crazy shit, and her eyes are glowing red, and a whole fucking 9 yards, like fully decked out, full witch costume, reading the Darkhold. And then she hears Billy and Tommy going, Mom, help us, Mom, help. And she looks up, and that's it. So my theory is there is something she unleashed, and Agatha wasn't bullshitting. What it's going to be, Chthon, Mephisto, who the fuck knows? The nice thing is, though, is that means that we will probably see Agatha again, because Catherine Hahn was great in that role. Absolutely outstanding. All three of them. All three, her, Bettany, Olsen, Bettany, and Hahn all deserve Emmy nominations for their work in this. Absolutely outstanding. Special effects in this episode were pretty good. It shows where they pinched a couple pennies here and there through the course of the first few episodes in order to blow their wad on the big finale. Doctor Strange not showing up, it's weird. I mean, they'll probably come up with some excuse for him not being there. He was in another dimension or something. But it would have been cool. They actually did name drop him when Agatha's talking to Wanda about the Darkhold, And she's like, there's an entire chapter in here on you, Scarlet Witch. And she goes, you're more powerful than even the Sorcerer Supreme. And it's your destiny to destroy the world. Dun dun dun. Which ties into the second tag scene, which ties into Doctor Strange 2, where I'm thinking that Wanda... The theory with the Darkhold is anybody who reads it can kind of go cuckoo. So I'm thinking what's going to happen is Wanda's going to get a little too into reading that book and fuck up some stuff along the way. Unintentionally again. It's like Britney Spears. Oops, I did it again. Just like Westview. Sorry, guys. But yeah, that's my theory with Doctor Strange 2. So whether Wanda's actually going to be the villain, for lack of a better term, because again, I don't think, although the other scene too where Agatha's like, you're just cruel. It's like, where'd she get that from? But I'm thinking there's going to be something, because the kids apparently, does Mephisto have them? I mean, in the books, they were basically a shard of Mephisto that got brought into life. I don't think they're going to go that deep on the whole thing, but from what I've heard, the kids have been seen on set of Doctor Strange 2. So whether that's an hallucination, that they're just appearing to her in her mind, or if they're actually still alive, or what the deal is there, I don't know. But that definitely sets it up for her being, I wouldn't say a villain, but a loose cannon in Doctor Strange 2 that he has to try to take care of. And if she tops him in power levels, from like what Agatha said, then it's not going to be an easy job. Especially if she's not all there and kind of like freaking out about Billy and Tommy and trying to find them and being manipulated by something else. Again, maybe Chthon, who knows what, causing her to lose her mind again because she wants her kids back this time. Will White Vision, Spectral Vision, meld into this in some way or another? We're getting Spider-Man before we're getting Doctor Strange 2, so will Wanda show up in Spider-Man as well, because Doctor Strange is now Peter's mentor in Spider-Man. So this could be an overrunning arc across, at least 2 more movies. There will not be a season 2 of WandaVision, that's for sure. They basically wrapped it up pretty well, despite all the theorizing that people have been doing about, Reed Richards is going to show up, Blue Marvel's going to show up, the Skrulls thing showing up, yeah, but they didn't really establish whether or not that was the Skrull kid that she met when she was 10. That would have been a cool little mix to bring it all together. And not have it be just some random Skrull. If it could have been the kid, little Skrull, that she was hanging out with in Captain Marvel, then that would have been a neat way to tie things together too. But, there's many a Skrull. And it's definitely setting up the Skrull invasion, which is going to be, wow. There's some crazy shows coming up. Here's hoping that stuff doesn't keep getting bumped, because every time something gets bumped, I think everything else gets bumped along with it. And fingers crossed Widow comes out in theaters on May 5th or whatever it's supposed to be. We'll see. We've still got Making of WandaVision next week on March 12th. And then on the 19th, we start getting the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. I've heard 6 episodes, 1 hour per for that, which will lead into the release of Black Widow, which then will give us till June 11th when we get Loki, which should run directly through until Shang-Chi releases on July 9th. Then we've got probably the What If series in August or September. Hawkeye and Miss Marvel, they're saying we're going to get before the end of this year on Disney+. And then we get the Eternals November 5th. And then technically we're getting Spider-Man on December 17th. As long as nothing gets delayed. Fingers crossed. Then we've got, I think, Thor Love and Thunder is coming out February 2022. And then Doctor Strange 2 is March 2022. So will WandaVision in some way have an effect on Thor? Although that's going on cosmically away from Earth. So probably won't. I think it's going to get, the whole Wanda thing's going to get wrapped up by the end of Strange 2. And hopefully we'll have the beginnings of the Young Avengers at that point, and have Billy and Tommy stay real and grow up to be Wiccan and Speed, which would be really neat. Because then, like, anything's possible. Then we could do fucking. Russo brothers still want to do Secret War. Can you imagine? But anyway, we'll see what happens with the all the predictions we've got now for the movies after we've gotten through WandaVision. I'll be probably chiming in on a weekly basis with Falcon and Winter Soldier reviews, and then I'm going to probably do a couple reviews or something or other along the way. But yeah, so next episode will be whenever. Let's wrap this one up for today. That's it for the spoiler review for WandaVision episode 9, the series finale. So don't forget, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we'll catch you on the next video. Ciao.